makes us feel right.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Soul Purpose Show. The views expressed on this show are mine. They're my views, me and my guests' views. And so we welcome you to the Soul Purpose Show, seen every Saturday here on In Touch News Internet Radio, where everyone is a star, heard all over the world. You can also stream us on your Facebook Live page, on our Facebook Live page, and YouTube as well. We really thank you for joining our show today and for the last several weeks. As a matter of fact, I mean, we're living in historic times. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But you will notice to my left, my lovely co-host is missing today. Miss Monica is producing our show today because she's let the boys have the show. So we're gonna do what men do. We're gonna talk about man things. We're gonna talk about brotherhood. We continue our service, or get our series, I should say, on brotherhood and really the challenges of Black men today and brotherhood. And I felt like it was probably only fitting to invite some guests. The month of January, I'm not sure everyone knows, is the month that a lot of our Black Greek letter organizations celebrate their Founders Day and their anniversary. So I just thought it was only fitting to invite some Black Greek letter organizations to be represented on our show, especially in light of the recent events. And I'm going to bring them in here just in a moment. But I just want to just reflect on what has been this week, one of the most historic periods of our history as a country. And I know for some of us who were assuming or expecting that there would be unrest and a disruption of our ability to have what we call a peaceful transition, I think that what we saw this week is very significant because we saw just the opposite. We were able to demonstrate to the world, not only could we protect our physical capital, our nation's capital physically, but we could actually protect our democracy that has existed in this country for so many years. So we're proud as citizens today to see that sister become our first female and our first African-American female vice president who took the oath. But we're also proud of the way that hope has been restored in our country. So with that, a lot has been made of Vice President Kamala Harris and her affiliation with the Black Greek letter organization Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. And that has found its way really into the national conversation. So people are saying, what is Alpha Kappa Alpha? What is AKA, et cetera? So it really inspired me to want to talk to our viewers, some of our viewers that might not be as aware, especially if you're not in a Greek letter organization, not as aware about what Black Greek letter organizations are really all about. So, but we're not going to be talking about AKA today. We're going to continue our series with Black Greek fraternities. We started out back in December after the Founders Day of my fraternity, my beloved fraternity, Brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha. We've had the Kappas on to kick off the year. We had the Sigmas on last week, Phi Beta Sigma. And today I am honored to bring you guys know this organization as the organization that typically likes to bring the punctuation on a sentence. And so I am very, very proud to have on the show the men of Omega Psi Phi fraternity and their leadership. Welcome to the Soul Purpose Show, gentlemen. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and unmute your microphones. Say hello to all of our viewers.
Thank you for having us.
There you go. All right. Hey, Al. Can we hear you, Reverend Gallen?
Yes, sir. We're
All
blessed
right.
to be here. Thank you for
Fantastic.
having us.
And I'm very pleased to see Dr. Larry Shannon has joined us this morning. How are you, Dr. Shannon?
Yes, fine. Good morning to everyone.
All right. Well, we hear you just fine. We hear you just great. I'm going to let these gentlemen tell you a little bit more about themselves, but we're honored to have the chapter president of one of our large Tampa Bay area Omega chapters. So I think it's only right to allow him to let us to lead us off. Al, tell our viewers a little bit more about who you are and the roles that you serve within your organization, sir.
Well, my name is Al Sharif. I'm actually the boss list of the Pi Iota chapter, founded 75 years ago here in the Tampa Bay community. With all deference, we're going to do it the right way, which is the Q-Dog way. First fraternity founded on a Black campus. So just so the alphas know, we know you actually married up. So we're going to go back and we're going to do it in order. Brother Shannon, being our most senior brother, we'll start off with deference, and I'll come back to the community. We'll come through that way. So, Brother Dr. Larry Shannon, introduce yourself first, and then we'll go to the Reverend Dr. James Gallen to go. And I'm the the puppy, so to speak. So we'll do it right.
Good morning again. Larry Shannon, 50-year man of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. Originally from Palmetto, Florida, now residing on Apollo Beach, but I've lived and worked all over the country, retiring from the U.S. Department of the Interior, and served as university deans of a couple of universities.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Shannon.
I'm James Gallen, pastor of the Christian Praise and Worship Center. Just retired from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office with 29 years. Born and reared here. Call myself and tell everybody I introduce myself as one who was born and reared in the projects, and just glad to be here.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
And last but not least, I'm Al Sharif. I was a proud initiate over 25 years ago. 26 this year, at the mighty Omicron Epsilon chapter. As you guys can see at the background, that was my place of birth, which is at the great Bethune-Cookman University. Current serving as the chapter president, which we call the Bossless, in a role with some great brothers in our midst. We may actually have another past legend that may join us as well as we continue through this call.
Outstanding. Yeah, if we can get that brother on, I tell you what, man, it would be any day that you have an opportunity to hear from Attorney Delano Stewart would be a great day. So we're going to continue to work on that. Well, I just want to just thank you guys again for joining us on such short notice as well as we put our show together today. And I've really been looking forward to hearing from you, because I do know that, especially for some of our viewers, and a lot of our viewers are from HBCUs, a lot of our viewers are in Greek letter organizations. But I want you to start back with the year 1911. You guys were actually founded on the campus of Howard University. I mean, it was a historic time in our history as a people. But I'd like for someone to give us a little historical perspective on the formation of Omega Psi Phi fraternity and what was going on at that time.
Well, I'll start it off, I guess, in this case. So Omega Psi Phi was born on the campus at Howard University. As I mentioned to you at the preset, was the first African-American male or female organization created on the campus. Three brothers, our beloved founders, were very close friends. Friendship is essential to our soul. That is our mantra as we go through the community. We're built on the pillars of manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift. I'll defer to Brother Gallen and Brother Shannon. With these three young men, there was an advisor that was on the faculty staff there at Howard University. So as we go through that, that is our founders. We have 4 founders, 3 being undergraduate and 1 being a faculty advisor. And from that formation, we represent, all that we find to be good and giving back to our communities globally, not nationally anymore. So it's a global organization. I was fortunate to grow up in the DC area, going to school up there, and then have an opportunity to come down here, go to college, through mentoring from Omega Man at the time, not even knowing that. So we all have our stories, and I look forward to deferring. We'll go up the line. Dr. Gallen, you want to add to that?
Yes, we understand that Dr. Just was a believer. We also understand, and we're happy to be here because the Word of God tells us that He empowers us to serve, and we're from a service organization. I would like you to also understand we're glad to be last because when you understand the brother Joseph in the Bible, he was favored and he had a coat of minty colors. Omega Psi Phi has been an organization of strong men. Scholarship has always been one of the lights that illuminated our path. When we are seen in the community, we're mostly seen as partiers and ones that can light up the room and one that brings it on. But when you look at our founders and you understand their path and purpose, you understand that scholarship was important because knowledge is what opens the door to opportunity. And regardless of how people see you or perceive you, when you know who you are, when you know that you're a man of integrity, a man of power and strength, a man who has been blessed by the Most High, you can walk around with your head up and knowing that whatever you dream, you can achieve it. Now,
Doc, I sure appreciate that, man. That's a great perspective, and I like the way you weaved in all of our foundation into what helps to make Omega a great organization, and also what makes great men. Dr. Shannon, would you like to add anything to
Oh,
that description?
not much, just to emphasize the educational aspect of what we strive for. Uh, Annually, we provide scholarships to students, and we are looking to build upon that by basically for getting more money and providing opportunities for more Black students. And we're working diligently under the leadership of our bachelors. Then we're working hard to be able to do that, to provide that perspective to our students. They deserve it. They need it. And we thank the community for working with us to make this possible.
Absolutely, and I think it stands without saying that to whom much is given, much is required, and we really have to know how important it is that we reach into the youth, into these young men, and provide not just words and not just advice, but we provide financial assistance for them to continue their matriculation as well. So I really appreciate that. I want to give you guys an opportunity to talk about some of your mentors and some of the great men who have been members of your organization throughout the years. I think as a young boy growing up, I think I found out that at some point that Jesse Jackson was not just a preacher, not just a civil rights icon, but he was also a member of your organization as well. Who are some of the individuals that you point to as saying, hey, that's somebody who I strive to be like when I get to be a man? Al.
And the list is long. As I said, I go back to my high school days. There was a guy, Dr. Matthew George, who was educated at Howard University Hospital. And I actually played ball with his son. And the story goes, and it's pretty clear, and I share that with people. I was just a regular kid growing up, single parent household, and this guy just took care of us. Didn't know who he was, didn't know his status and all of this stuff. I remember he had this little funny thing on his arm. I was like, hey, what's that, doc? He's like, you guys will figure it out. Looking at it, circle back, wanted to go to school. He helped me fill out my college application. I get to the campus. I see these funny looking signs again, right? I was like, hey, okay. So as you go on the campus, one of the things you think through is, playing, being an athlete. Of course, there are other groups that want you to be a part of whomever and whatever. Um, Ends up, I was like, hey, these guys didn't even ask me. So I was like, that's the guys I want to be with, right? circle back through the process or whatever. You know, I was like, hey, that's my kind of guys. So, you know, you kind of go through that, but, you know, after graduating, then you start expounding on that. I've got two mentors actually on the call right now. You know, if I go left, guess what? They're here to just bop me over the head. So it's just a regular, it's not, you know, it's not this crazy thing that people think through. It was part of the evolution of me, the blessings that God gave me, and you know, we try to share it on to the next people. So that's how, you know, that's my story in a nutshell. You know, I guess still room for growth, but looking forward to getting to that path of giving you some corrective wisdom here, my friend.
Sandy. Reverend Gallen, who are some of the members that influence?
Young men like Alton White, the assistant mayor here in Tampa, Jetty B. Wiles, who both have passed on and they're looking down from heaven as angels. And one of the young men that was supposed to be on today, Mr. Stewart, they saw something in me. But these young men had a spirit of humbleness. They didn't boast about who they were or what they had. They were ones to whom shown those abilities that one would want to have to further their lives. Of course, I was blessed to go and attend school at Wiley College. We know it from the great debaters. I wasn't on the debate team, but I was blessed with a gift of gab, they say. So I like Al, when I got on the campus, the young men had more qualities that drew me towards them. They were a group with black and gold. They stayed in the library. I had no problems with that. But there was a group with purple and gold. Not only did they attend activities in the library, but they did service in the community. If you receive a gift and don't share the gift is not as valuable as it should be. We're just throwing rocks.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Dr. Shannon. So there have been some great Omega men that have influenced you. I'm sure you got history for us.
Yes, thank you. And we have a number of college and university presidents who are Omega men, but I want to lift up one individual who is the third highest or ranking member of the U.S. House of Representatives, Brother James Clyburn. We can recognize him as really turning the election around to select our current president. Brother Clyburn was here a couple of years ago as our Founders Day speaker. So he has done marvelous things, and we welcome him to the brotherhood, not only to Omega Psi Phi, but to the country.
Outstanding. I tell you, not enough can be said about that gentleman's influence on really helping to change the course of history for our country. Because I don't, you know, and this show is really kind of not about the person that just vacated the office, but we saw where we were headed as a nation, as an organization, and something needed to be done. Somebody needed to step up and say, you know, somebody's got to make a decision. What Representative Clyburn did is a service and an honor to this country that we are going to feel the ramifications for generations. So for that, I think we all have a debt of gratitude. Now, I want to touch on something Reverend Gallen talked about a little earlier, which is the reputation from, you know, we're all colleges, and we all have vivid memories of the Q parties and the gold boots and the stepping and the barking and I'm gonna give you guys an opportunity an opportunity to debunk myth and just show the world, tell the world about what distinguished, refined gentlemen you actually really all are. Like none of that stuff is true.
Well, let's start. I can start on that. See, that's the part of the fun we wanted to go through. So let's build on this. Blood transfusion, Black History Month, first Black governor in these United States. These Omega men, astronauts, first Black astronaut, Omega man. Now, we party hard, we play hard, but we work hard. That's really the value. With it all, we still serve. At the end of the day, to serve the air. I mean, that's what we're about. It's just to serve the Lord's will. And we want to definitely just be out there and, be in the community, engaged, touching people. I was touched. The funny story and telling you about this mentor, he actually went to Wiley College. I didn't know nothing about that. But the greatness in it is the work that's being done by these brothers. So definitely thrilled and honored to just be here as a servant working with them. So I'll be quiet now.
Dr. Shannon, you don't come across as somebody to me who was running with these guys when they were running across the yard barking and carrying on. Now tell me, somebody's got to debunk the myth.
These guys, these as Brother Al said, they are youngsters.
Okay.
And things were a little different back in the day. I actually started pledging as an undergraduate at Florida A&M, but because of being drafted into the Army, I left, had to go to the Army. When I came back as a biology major, I didn't have time to really go through the rituals of becoming an Omega man because of studies. So I joined a graduate chapter when I was a faculty member at Lincoln University.
Oh, wow.
Things were a little different then. We went through a process that was much longer, more time consuming. Our younger brothers now have the opportunity to come through the burning sands at a much faster pace. But they still learn the basics of what it takes to be an Omega man. And that one of the things is serving the community.
Amen.
We're doing that right now. Brother Al and I are members of the Saturday Morning Breakfast Group. Brother Gallen was one, and he had too many other things to do to keep him busy. But I also serve on the board of TOBA, Tampa Organization of Black Affairs. But what I'm saying is that we try to give back to the community. And I think through our various organizations, we are doing that. And Omega is one of the leading organizations in the Tampa Bay area to provide service back to the community.
Well, we're gonna break in about 4 minutes, but I'll be remiss if I didn't give Reverend Gallen an opportunity for us a little bit more of that perspective. Obviously you're a man of faith. I know that you have a way of keeping ground our foundation. So I know that when we say things like partying on campus and being the attention and being the life of the party, I know that you have a way of a story that we all need to hear. So I'm gonna give you an opportunity to do that.
Thank you, sir. The Bible says the truth shall set you free. Sometimes we have to understand, I'd rather have a true friend than a fake friend any day. One who pretends to be one thing, but lives another life. I was one to whom, when I wore the boots and wore the shirt and went to the party, I was the life of the party. But in a dark room, you always need a light to illuminate. And we understand that life is a process that prepares you to be better. So I will never look down and look back and say, I wish I never had, because when I did it well.
That's good stuff. I tell you, you know, we think about those early experiences on the college campuses now, and I know we'll have to a little bit more after we come from break, but just give us a little perspective, Al, on what you're seeing now. Young black men go off to college at about the same rates as they always have, but they don't graduate. Something happens in that first year, whether it be financial or what have you. Our young men right now are struggling to stay in school until they graduate. What kind of things can we do to help stem that tide?
Well, I think that's where corporate-private partnerships, community-based things come to play, and we're definitely positioned and definitely are positioning ourselves in that dynamic to figure out how can we create, mentoring. I think one of the things you think about, everybody that made it, somebody was there to help them, right? In a simple, in a simple iteration. As I said, these two gentlemen are, I consider them mentors. The other brother, Delano Stewart, again, that's another mentor. That's a resource. Generationally, we kind of look at past and we go through that. Sorry about that. So, just from a generation, back when Doc was coming through the process, it was a longer process. When I was coming through the process, I get to laugh at Reverend Doctor and say the 80s bros are now all to Jesus, right? So they weren't as nice to us in the 90s. Being a 90s guy, I get to look at these young guys, just trying to groom them, figuring out positions, how we can teach these young men, basically going back and figuring out ways that we can, share our experiences. I think the greater purpose of all of these organizations is that shared purpose of service, right? So how can we help the next generation build? And then also, we weren't all this, refined in a shirt and tie moment. That took time, that took, mentoring. I'm going to go off the rails a little bit more so than Doc would, because he's been around a little bit longer. That's experience, and we call that wisdom, right? And just having that pillar, that community thing, that's basically where I see how we can help, get these young fellas to kind of stick it. You got to stick through it too. So.
Yeah, it warms my heart every time I get an opportunity to see. And we have Alphas have mentoring groups, Kappas have mentoring groups, and obviously Sigmas have mentoring groups. It really warms my heart to see us actively engage with these young men. I had I'll share a quick personal story as we go to break. Opportunity to be, my fraternity's director of educational activities, working with the young men, and it never forget the reaction that I got from moms. They coming in and said, Mr. Harris, I want my son to come and join your mentoring group, but I got to tell you, a little out of I just don't know how we can get him to pay attention. I can't get him to be respectful. And I would always look at him in the face, ma'am, just give me your son. We are not afraid of your 13, 14-year-old son. We will bring him into our organization. He will see us standing before him as professional Black men who are ready to pour love into him, and he will respect us. And the reaction that you always get from those same moms after they and we help to transform them and get them ready for college. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us as well. So listen, we're gonna go to break. When we come out of break, we're gonna get into the events of the last few weeks. We're gonna talk about, we're gonna get your perspective on Black male leadership and some of the challenges and some of your personal experiences as brothers of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. We appreciate you. We'll be right back, folks.
I better be ready by 9.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted. Down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay, call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida, grab a pen or something. Down 184-361-RICK. That's 184-361-7425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361-RICK. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. It's a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and getting you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
Hey, it's Madam CJ, and I want you to listen to Trap Talk Radio at 8 p.m. every Thursday right here on In Touch News, www.intouchnews.com.
When it comes to reality radio, everyone is a star.
I know that's right.
On your smooth soul and R&B station. On the World Wide Web.
Access granted.
In Touch Radio.
Wherever we go, we about to bring on the positive vibe. Wherever we go, we are gonna do
Positive vibe. So you're on the Soul Purpose Show. I am your host, Keith. My lovely wife and co-host, Mom, today because we're talking about the challenges of Black male leadership in our contemporary times. And we have with us the men of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. So my wife is messaging me, telling me to stop frowning so much. And I had to I had to tell her, I said, I got the cues on the show today, baby. I can't be smiling. I gotta put my mug on.
Right.
So no, but we really appreciate you guys taking the time out. We don't count it robbery that you would take time out of your busy Saturday afternoons to come and share with us. I'm going to ask Al, since you are the sitting leader of the local chapter, tell us about some of the things that Omega Psi Phi is doing in the community, and how we may be keep abreast of what you guys are doing.
Well, I mean, one of our major initiatives is scholarship. We're targeting to give, we've already given hundreds of thousands of dollars in this local community to kids to go off to college. We did a new initiative this year where during the Christmas time frame, we actually gave some kids an essay contest. So if you think about Omega and you think about Black History Month was founded by Carter G. Woodson, one of our fraternity brothers. This enclave that we celebrate now in February, which is upcoming, was something that was a week and it was a day at a certain period. Where as you kind of go back historically, you start looking at stuff like that. You say, well, how did this happen, right? You start looking at the journey of all of us. And we talk about uplift, right? Uplift is what we can give back. We were able to feed some families recently during our Achievement Week, which is during the best month of the year in November. I don't know why the rest of you people are January folks, but we'll get back into that. So we fed some families. We normally do gifts and stuff like that. There's a institution that supports AIDS that will do gifts and stuff. So we're partnered and we're doing work basically as needed. We can't do everything, but you ask a Q, say, hey, can't, that's not a word in our vocabulary. It's that, Napoleon said that's a word for idiots. So we try to do as much as possible within the resources that we do have. Gifts to hospitals, we've done that on an annual basis. We just actually had a symposium held from a statewide, on our statewide and district. So we're broken down into there's the local chapters, there's a state, there's a district, and then we have our national president. From all, we have mandated programs, meaning if you go on our website, you can look at all the mandated programs that we actually do. That's just a baseline. In addition to that, the hospitals, the kids, giving them Christmas gifts, feeding, turkeys and stuff like that. We've done turkey drives, blood drives. Right now, as you and I talked offline, our biggest impact is COVID. We've got a few pastors out there. Some of the churches have definitely been welcoming and helping, our more senior, constituents, in the community, get the shot. There's the myth, both sides. Hey, should I get this shot? Should I not get the shot? One of the takeaways from our call last week with a medical doctor who happens to be in that illustrious organization as your wife. I told you married up, brother. She talks about, the choice. And I'll go back to a reflection of a video from one of our founders, which is the challenge of the difficult. See, back in the 1917, 18, 19 era, there was a world war. There were difficult times. If you go back historically, you'll also see Omega had growth during that time frame. So even though we are in difficult times with our current situation, that doesn't define who we are as men. The definition of who we are, I'll leave that to the biblical and the more scholarly brother that's on the call, is to talk about, hey, what do we do? That's the question I ask to everyone that's listening. What are you doing right now to help make a difference for tomorrow? Because the right now is already past.
That's good stuff, Reverend Gallen. I think it's a great segue to give you an opportunity to offer us and our viewers some perspective. Challenging times. How did Omega prepare you to be the leader in this community, to deal with something?
When we understand the word perseverance, we have to look back in the landmarks, because our parents and their parents taught us that they can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. There's two words that it seems like we've forgotten: awareness and awaken. We need to first be awakened, enlightened, taught, and trained about times are not always going to be easy. That's why sometimes our young men, they go off and they come back rejected. They come back as what they think are losers. But there was a time when our parents poured into us the idea that you're not a loser. You may have come short of something. Langston Hughes, another great Omega man, he wrote Dreams Deferred. You might have a dream and it might not be capable of receiving right now, but if you keep on looking towards the hills from which cometh your help, sooner more than later. I know as an alpha man that kind of heard it. Sooner more than later. That dream can come to fulfillment and perseverance. We got to go through some things. And now as a people, we seem to give up too early, too easy to say, I can't, which shouldn't be a part of our vocabulary. It should be, I will. I might not get there with you. You might have heard that from one of your frat brothers. I might not get there with you, but I'll get there. And that's the attitude that we're going to have, because the Bible says, I press towards the mark of a higher calling. That word press means that I have to do some work. I have to do some service. I have to give of myself to become not what I want to be, but what God wants me to be and called me to be.
All right. Dr. Shannon, I think what I'm hearing is I get to skip service tomorrow because I got my word for it. I need to, so Dr. Shannon, listen, you're a leader. I love when you description of some of your past appointments and some of the past assignments that you've had. Now you have to go and be in a leadership role in a room full of men like this, and establish your opinion and corral those strong egos and strong opinions. How do you manage to do that, sir? What is the challenge to in groups of men like this on a straight and narrow?
First of all, recognition of the talents of everyone in the room. Then there might be differences of opinion, but they all looking to do the same thing, moving in the same direction. So a part of getting people to work together is to understand what each wants and try to develop a pathway that everyone can follow. Uh, the leader or designated leader is just one of the leaders.
Hmm.
Everyone shows some leadership, so we have to recognize that and find a pathway that everyone can put their ideas into action and move forward from there.
Yeah, you have to be able to corral not just personalities, but you have to really kind of dig into the desires and the aims and what everybody's trying to. Otherwise, you just get run over for sure. So, hey, I want to give you just to debunk another myth with pain on Omega. Are you family men, wives, kids, leave just continue on your ass? Al, can you guys hear me?
Just restate the question one more time for me,
Okay,
brother.
there you go. There you go. Let's debunk the myth about how hard it is to tame a Mega Man. You have to become at some point. My internet. There we go. At some point, do you get married and have kids and settle down? I mean, talk to us about the importance of family.
Well, I mean, that's the foundation of each of us, right? I think as you kind of go through it, brothers graduate, girls get engaged, and the bros get married. That's what we call it, right? So you heard that song. Just go back to it. Just give you a refresher. I mean, the challenges are what they are. I mean, if you think about it across the board, we all have challenges as men. Having the resources to kind of sit down in a manly way to kind of say, hey, bro, what you're doing right there might not be the best thing. Is a different perspective. These gentlemen have been in that war, with a sharper shield than I have of marriage. I've got kids, got a family, just doing the best that we can. You're going to have your up days, your down days. And I think what happens is a lot of people don't look at the down times. That's probably the most critical times. Perseverance. So in a dogmatic format, we're stubborn. And, I know the preacher may have a different variation of how to enlighten us, or the doctor may, right? We're stubborn, and we're known for taking pain. I think that's one of the things that we can reflect on, where we can, chide, some of these other folks. But Qs do get married, Qs do get degrees. Let's debunk that thing. We have multiple degrees. Even the great Alpha, Martin Luther, the King, right? Learn from an Omega. So let's go back to reflecting on stuff like that and go back to the true mess that need to be talked about. We party hard, we play hard, but we win hard.
There you go. Reverend Gallon, can you corral an Omega man? Can you settle him down?
I guess the best word for us to use is to mature. People mature differently. It's not train. It says train up a child. You can't corral anything that don't really want to be corralled.
Okay.
But when one matures to the point and understands his true purpose, then it'll be much easier to line the path of success. We, like everyone, understands that if we had a test and there was 3 answers on the test, what is marriage to you? Some would say it's the hardest institution in the world. Some would say it's an area of bliss. Some would say it's a great learning period. Should there be a D? All the above? So I think that when we come to the place of being mature in our lives and happy to who we are, but most of all know whom we are, it'll be much easier.
Man, Dr. Shannon, give us some insight on how my wife and I have been together now, married for 7 years, been together now for about 8 or 9. Some of the things that keep a family man focused on the right things.
Well, thank you. My wife and I we're celebrating our 52nd anniversary in June.
Have mercy. Hallelujah.
Yes. My parents were married for 73 years. So it and they kept us. There were 9 of us in the family. One of the things that I always look back at, kind of look back and reflect on where you've been so you can know where you're going, get some perspective. Growing up in Palmetto, Florida, I worked in the fields, tomatoes, etc. But I said, this is not what I want to do in life. One of the common things that I've been hearing is perseverance. So I ended up, had a scholarship offer, a partial scholarship offer to Morehouse, but knowing that the family could not pay the rest of the money, it would have been difficult. I ended up at Florida A&M, which was still not bad. But I got good support from my parents, even my grandmother, who would cook a cake and send it to me and a $1 bill to get ice cream with that cake. But moving forward with my family, my son, one of my sons had a partial scholarship to Morehouse, but we were able to provide financial support as well as other kinds of support that he needed. He's a neurosurgeon now, board certified neurosurgeon at a hospital in New York. Another one, like what I was doing, I was director of Fish and Wildlife for the state of Minnesota. And this one, when he was in college, had planned to go to law school, but he got an internship with the Maryland Department of Natural Resources. So much so that he forgot about law school because they offered him a job as a natural resources law enforcement officer. And he's been doing that now for 17 years. So they all have the same kind of grounding, first of all, in the church and knowing what is right from wrong, and not only knowing it, but doing it. And my wife and I are very appreciative of what they're doing with their families. We're the grandparents of 4 grandsons and 1 granddaughter. Of course, she's the boss of all of them.
Better believe it. I tell you what,
families that pray together, stay together.
hey man, that's very special. And just to hear how long you guys have been together is great. I'm not sure this is our second go around. I'm not sure we might make it that long, but I'm certainly inspired by hearing of your day.
You were stuttering. You were saying you were inspired by cues.
I was inspired. It's hard for me. I heard myself. I caught myself right in there.
Hey, I just want to reiterate what we just heard. Clarity.
It's tough for me. Let's bring this home, guys. We know about early influences. We know about the kind of the glitz and fraternity, and we have good times, college days and that kind of thing. But all of you have talked about maturity. I'm just interested. When was the whole brotherhood thing? Like, when did that really kind of hit home to you that you knew that it's more than just some guys that you kind of hung out with, but it truly was a brother? Give me your brotherhood experience, Al.
Ooh, I think there's countless. My kids' godfathers, the godparents of my kids, are all my fraternity brothers. There are moments of success in the business world. I'm in the financial world, entrepreneurship, and also education. Even the support from, hey, I'm ready to, there's a poem, don't quit. And that stick to it. there are brothers that step in. So they're countless. I mean, to pick one above the rest, I mean, even just this call, a simple, hey, we're looking at it. I was like, hey, Doc, you on the backup, although you should have been on the front page in the first place. I mean, we're here discussing Omega from a local perspective because, nationally, we have somebody that does that. Dr. Marion is our grand bossless, right? As you go down, we have a district representative, Brother Harris, state representative, Brother Woodall. I'm just happen, to be, in the seat of hanging out. I mean, a brotherhood scenario. Look, I'm starting up a business, needed some seed money, needed funding. Friends in true friendship had faith in me to say, hey, go out there and go have at it. We made money, lose money. Okay, still go at it. So, I mean, I could give you countless different things, but I think more importantly, as I said, my kids have uncles. They've got goddaddies. My daughters, I'll give you a good brotherhood story with Doc Shannon. Doc is a fisherman. He's a single line researcher. That's his job. In short, he's retired. All he does is fish. My daughters, right? My daughters came to me and said, well, I want to go fishing too. And I'm sitting over here like, I'm a city boy, African, but a city boy, right? I said, hey, Doc, you're the professional fisherman. The first time my daughters went fishing, guess who we went with? Doc, showing them, how to tie a line, how to do certain things. So, I mean, there's countless stories. I don't, Brother Gallon coming to my campus way before I was a brother, meeting with his, his cohorts, right? Meeting the guys in his era. And we sit back, talk about those things. Doc, there's a bevy of it. There's not enough time in your hour to even give you one story.
That's all right. Reverend Gallon, is it all just talk, man? Is it all in games? Or is it really a true brotherhood? When was it made real to you?
I had several great experiences, not only here, but even when I was an undergrad in school and on a Black campus, when you eat 2 times a day and the last meal is at 3 o'clock and you're hungry again at 6 o'clock and you go into your pocket and you have lint and no money, but there's a knock on the door and there's a bunch of brothers who can put in a quarter, a nickel, a dime. Then there's a brother who learned to go into the kitchen and know how to cook. Then when we get together, we leave full and knowledgeable, because as we're eating, we're also sharing history and knowledge. So not only have you received a meal, you receive knowledge, and knowledge is the key to get you throughout the world. And knowing that when I leave this place, I can go anywhere in the world and there's going to be a brother there. And the Bible tells us, and it shows us several things. It shows us about Joseph and Esau. It shows about Joseph and his brothers. And there's going to be some disagreements. But in the end, we're going to come together. We're going to laugh. We're going to play. And we're going to fight together. And we're going to win.
We're going to win.
Except when the alpha's involved, right?
We're gonna win.
Well, most of the time, we don't have to worry about the alphas fighting because y'all can talk y'all way out.
That's right. we will find a diplomatic end to any solution.
Yes.
Dr. Shannon, is there any, as we close out our show today, is there any wisdom that you would like our young, especially our young male leader, young male viewers who might be watching this show, or there are others who might be watching this show? Any wisdom that you'd like to impart to them?
Yes, thank you. Education, perseverance, uplift, all of these principles, cardinal principles that we espouse as Omega men are general principles and guidelines for living. I want to mention an upcoming program that started by the Tampa Organization of Black Affairs. It's the TOBA Leadership Institute. And we, very soon, we will be looking for applicants, because what we're trying to do is prepare Black leaders for the Black communities. So look out for TOBA's look on TOBA's website for the applications, and we're encouraging all young people between the ages of 25 and 35 to apply. We want to develop Black leaders for our communities. And Omega is one of the organizations that's helping us push this. Thank you.
Outstanding. Well, we appreciate that. So Al, I want you to do two things. One is I want to give you the same opportunity. We have others that might be looking at y'all out there now, man, and seeing you all buttoned up and everything, and saying, hey, how do I be like this man? And so impart some wisdom on our young men, and also tell us anything that you'd like about Omega Psi Phi as we close out.
First thing, I'll give you my story personally. I started on my journey with a 2.68 GPA. And our requirement at that time was a 2.8 at my school. And the brothers quickly told me to get lost. But the way it was told put an inkling in me. They said I had to step up and do better. Fortunately, a few years later, I was able to get there. Don't quit. Starts with, you got to get in the books. You got to learn more about you and who you are. The journey for me coming to become a brother was, a very interesting perspective, because, of course, Omega Psi Phi is a non-hazing organization. We clearly state that within our governance. However, it was a very difficult. So how do you get to be a Q? Scholarship is the first thing. We look at the foundations. I'm honored by the guys that I actually had the opportunity to bring through after me, and looking at them grow over the course of time to become leaders, not just in the community, nationally. It's a beautiful thing. It's been positive, but realize there's no perfection till you get there. So that's what I would say to any person aspiring to be one of these, part of the Divine Nine, is to look at that. So, that's what I would say.
Outstanding. Well, I appreciate that, Dr. Shannon. I would ask if you get, make sure that we get some information on TOBA. We would love to put that program on our website as well, on the Soul Purpose Show Facebook page, news as well. Al, man, I reached out to you. You said I got a couple of cats. I want to.
We don't have cats, buddy.
Bad.
You said I got a couple for you, man, to come on to the show, and we will bring the awareness, man. I tell you, I'm also honored. To you guys as leaders in this community, and certainly of cloth as well. And I just want to say on behalf of my wife, we thank you for joining us, and we thank you for putting that Omega punctuation on this Brotherhood series. So we absolutely appreciate you. We want to say to all of you here, we're in trying times. Monica says her daddy and her brother are smiling down on us right now. So we just want to ask you and implore you just to stay safe. We will see you next week on the Soul Purpose Show. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. Be blessed.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.